The story comes to us from Axios.com. Out of Colorado is kind of questioning, hey, are things changing for law enforcement here in Colorado? It looks like the tide may be turning a little bit. Let's look at it. A Denver officer's recent indictment for his role in a shooting last summer made him at least the 7th law enforcement officer in Colorado to face criminal charges for using lethal force on duty in the past 2 years. Now, what happened about 2 years ago? The summer of 2020, the nation burned. Everybody was busting out windows, and so since then, the last 2 years, 7 Colorado officers are facing criminal charges, at least. Now, those charges signal that the tide may be turning for police officers who have historically avoided criminal charges related to on-duty shootings, because prosecutors often find their actions justified. Who works with the DA? Cops. And usually the DA or the prosecutor, the ADA, assistant DA, may say, oh, it was justifiable in line of duty, we're going to drop everything. But it seems like now they're starting to maybe find some criminal charges to go forth on. But even through that, data still suggests that convictions remain rare. Well, convictions on cops always remain rare. It's like, we're in the outback and we're looking at a police officer in the United States of America who's facing criminal charges. Let's look at this rare wild beast. Anyway, Denver officer Brandon Ramos faces 2 counts of second-degree assault, among other misdemeanor charges, for his involvement in the July 2022 Lodo shooting that left 6 bystanders injured. It's about time, right? 6 other officers have been charged for on-duty shootings or use of force in the past 2 years. All were fatal. Now, one Clear Creek County Sheriff deputy was charged with second-degree murder, while another was charged with criminally negligent homicide this last November for their involvement in the shooting of Christian Glass last June. I think I did the editorial on that. 3 former or current Aurora officers were charged in September of 2021 with manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide for their respective roles in the death of Elijah McClain in 2019. Elijah McClain, just to catch you up, was a young kid with, I believe he was autistic, they said, but he was just walking home with his earbuds in, and he was, we'll walk this way, or whatever he was listening to. And somebody called and said, wow, there's a black guy tweaking on the street. He was listening to music and doing hip-hop. And they came up and he ended up dead in the hands of the police. Why? Because he was walking home and listening to music. And he was black. So remember that. I did the editorial on that one. But listen to what it says. 3 former or current Aurora officers. Some of them are still working as cops. A former Kiowa County Sheriff deputy was charged with 2 counts of attempted a former Kiowa County Sheriff deputy was charged with 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder in the 2021 after fatally shooting Zachariah Gifford in April of 2020. That was during all that crap, right? A jury found the deputy not guilty on one of the attempted murder counts last August. What about the other one? He'll get off. No, he already got off. He shot somebody. So what people are saying is that the resistance to charging cops has definitely diminished over time. Local defense attorney David Lane tells Axios Denver. I like David Lane. I like that guy. He's a good defense attorney. He is out there he's taking on corrupt cops. But what he says is now he's a attorney who takes on these corrupt cops. So when he says the resistance to charging cops is diminishing over time, he knows what he's talking about pretty much. That more cops now are facing the judge than before 2020. I think people are starting to get tired of these cops pulling this crap, and then they arrest somebody because the cop escalates it. Then they arrest somebody and go, well, you know, what he did. What about what you did? Is this David Lane here? Oh, no. Reform activist Alex Landau says, my initial reaction is yes, this is a sign in the changing culture. And he's adding that social media and witnesses' audio and video footage are drawing more attention to police violence and prompting calls for accountability. Yes, you hear that? Social media and witnesses' audio and video footage are drawing more attention to police violence and prompting calls for accountability. Get out there and record the police, peoples. If you see the cops talking to somebody and you're walking down the street or you have time to stop, walk over and record it. Put it on YouTube if you have to. Put it on Twitter. Put it on Instagram. If you don't want to use your Facebook, use YouTube or Twitter. But it's time we start getting this video footage out there so people can see what the cops are about when they're acting up. The other side is to charge this officer with a felony crime, jeopardizing his career and liberty for acting as he was trained and in the public interest with no malice, ill intent, or lack of concern is unfortunate and sad, says the Denver Police Union in a statement response to the Lodo shooting indictment. So the police union, surprise, surprise, is saying you're ruining his career. He's acting in a way that he was trained with no malice, no ill intent. Okay, let's say he had no malice or no ill intent. Let's say that. However, he's a cop that can't control his emotions. So if you're saying he has no malice or ill intent, then he can't control his emotions. He's just an out of control, angry bastard. Because at least if he had malice, his emotions would be controlled to a certain degree, where he'd say, "I'm gonna kick your ass in a minute." That would be malice. But if you're saying, well, there's no malice there, so he's just an out of control jerk who can't control his emotions, and he's got a gun and a taser and pepper spray. Is that what you're saying? But he was trained that way. So fire the police chief. If he's training them to get out there and kick people's asses, kill black guys walking home listening to their music, named Elijah McClain. Now, since 2005, at least 171 officers involved in on-duty shootings have been arrested for murder or manslaughter nationwide, according to Bowling Green State University criminal justice professor Philip Stinson. 171 have been arrested, but how many were convicted? What's the conviction rate, Phil? Oh, it's right here. 55 of the 171 were convicted, but convictions for officer offenses like murder are rare. 7 officers have been convicted for murder since 2005. But at least 5 officers have been arrested in Colorado for serious crimes since 2005. But they're saying 7 in the last 2 years. I got confused there. I don't know. But look, the thing is, 55 out of 171 were convicted. That's not even a 50% ratio.